Oh, welcome back to my channel. This is Old New Dude with Theories Temple of Game of Thrones and Beyond. Running a minute late. Me and the button on the screen having a problem. It don't listen to me. Apparently, Richard, I don't know if he'll pop in or not, but I do have his email on Theories on the chatverse, so that's always good. I still hope he pops in here. And that would be Richard York of Ashar's Trueborn son, my co-host. I often say he's the brains behind the operation because we the odd couple, and I'm the slob without a doubt because he definitely does a whole lot more research than I do. But that's okay. Pop open his email, and give me 1 second. Once I know dead air is freaking terrible, just terrible. All right. This is a Game of Thrones, Catelyn 3. Says Ned and the girls were 8 days gone when Master Luwin came to her one night in Bran's sick room, carrying a reading lamp and the book of accounts. It's past time that we review the figures, my lady, he said. You'll want to know how much this royal visit has cost us. And Kat thinks she knows what it cost. I mean, which first and foremost in her mind is Bran. And we'll get back to that here in a minute. But Ned, the girls, half the people that were living there, if not more, the Maester lists off the names of positions that need to be filled. And it seems like Ned took the best of everybody. The captain of the guards, the steward, master of horse. I mean, he took quite a few. And then also he took the master of the horse's son. So that's both possibly the best horseman or anyone that could be the master of horse in Winterfell. He took with him on the trip, which is odd. I know he's going into King's Landing and everything, but she kind of gave her a raw deal. I don't know if he did it out of spite or what, but he made sure he had the good people. And then Kat says she knows the cost of a Bran. Like a little gray rat, she thought, he would not let go. That's George giving us the early images of Lady Dustin. So there you go. There are several appointments that require your immediate action, my lady. Besides the steward, we need a captain of the guards to fill Jory's place, a new master of horse. And then her eyes snapped around and found him. A master of horse? Her voice was like a whip. Getting back to the beginning, and I didn't catch it, it's in my notes, but 8 days. Ned and the girls have been gone 8 days. And it took them that long to be brave enough to go into Bran's room and speak to Kat. I mean, this woman must have been in a bad way. And as a parent, I can understand, but we'll touch on that here in a minute. The Maester was shaken. Yes, my lady. Hullen rode south with Lord Eddard. So, my son lies here, broken and dying, Luwin. And you wish to discuss a new master of horse. Do you think I care what happens in the stables? Do you think it matters to me one whit? Given what happens in the stables later and the threat it posed to Bran, she should have been worrying about what was happening in the stables. And then you got Robb. I'll make the appointments, Robb said. Very good, my lord. The paper vanished into his sleeve. Yet now, for the first time, she saw something of Eddard in his face, something as stern and hard as the North. Apparently, you can tell I don't read to people very often, and I read to my 7-year-old, so I read like a champ to him. But when it comes to me actually reading, you get a recovering redneck having troubles with the simplest of words. All right. Remember how I mentioned every use of the names of Danny's parents distanced them from being her parents. Whatever you would say her father or mother to refer to her parents, that is when George chooses to use their names instead, to almost imply that they are not her parents. He just did that there, choosing Eddard Stark, where 99% of authors would have used the term his father. Basically, this was and staying instead of saying that that Robb looks like his father, hard and stern, he uses the name Eddard Stark, meaning that don't mean necessarily that this is the boy's father. And I mean, that's a rabbit hole, and it all depends on where you fall in the theory. And I give shout outs to if it helps somebody else's theory, I'll be more than glad to say it. But George is he's hiding a fox in the hen house with some of his choices of words. But let's go on. She had begged. There's me bungling words again. She had begged. I'm an idiot. Ned not to go. Not now. Not after what had happened. Everything had changed now. Couldn't he see that? It was no use. He had no choice. He had told her, and then he left, choosing. We get this in John's chapter about how Cat prayed and prayed and prayed to keep Bran there, and she and the Maester are the ones behind Ned going south. Richard pointed it out. I mean, even Cersei didn't expect him to say, "Yeah, I'll be the hand." So I mean, it caught everybody but Robert by surprise. And she was one of the forces like, "You got to go, you got to go." And now she's like, "No, you got to stay, you got to stay." And is the "you got to stay" meaning she's already thinking, "Hey, Jaime Lannister pushed my boy out"? Is she thinking there's a conspiracy already happening against the Starks, and she didn't think before that she was sending him to his death, but she definitely thinks she is sending him to his death now, him and the girls. But we'll see you later. Okay, Preston has a great series on Bran, Feel Free, Omniscience, and Newcomb's Paradox, the Q&A, and his analysis of the finale of the Game of Thrones are also worth watching. I just butchered that whole little paragraph, so sorry, Preston. Preston, if y'all don't, I ain't gonna tell you who to watch, because I watched a lot of different people, and it's whatever pops on my phone that day. I give everybody a shot to begin with, and if it's like not my cup of tea, if it's like this and not well put together, I might move on. It just all depends on whether I get a tickle or not. But Preston's, he puts a lot of, like David Lightbringer, Order of Green Hand, Gray Area, Direwolf City. I mean, was it I Eat Apple, Zebras? There's a ton of good people out there, but you can't watch every single freaking YouTube video on A Song of Ice and Fire because there's just so many, and it's hard to remember who said what. But Preston is one of those that the second it comes on, it pops up. It's an automatic. Okay, I gotta check this out. Same thing with David Lightbringer, Order of Green Hand. But there's that. Sorry, I did butcher that. Let's see. Catelyn was shaking. It was the grief, the cold, the howling of the direwolves. Night after night, the howling and the cold wind and the gray, empty castle. On and on they went, never changing. This combines Cat shaking, representing her fear, and reminds me of the North went on forever. That sentence in the previous chapter is one that should scare the reader quite a bit. Just how much down north is up there? I mean, let's go to. All right, the library's on fire. Oh, stop on that for a second. We'll jump back to mine. His stuff better than my stuff, but all right, we got the the make them stop. I mean, she's kind of repeating that phrase, and she even gets into the kill them all if you have to, burn them all, kill them all. You know what I mean? So anytime you get, which we'll see it again here in this chapter, somebody repeating a phrase or saying something that's definitely out of character, it might hint at a hidden hand moving pieces on the Sybes board. So there's that. But the howling of the wolves is the reason Robb walks to the window to shut it. And then when he gets there, he sees the fire. Okay? He sees the fire. He deals with that. He gets the guards outside the door. He's running down. Now, we don't know if he opened the door or not, or left the door open, because Summer don't come right then and there. So I'm assuming that the path that the cat's paw took, he left an opening for Summer inadvertently, Summer to get in. But it is the wolves howling that start this whole process. And the fire cleared the path for the cat's paw. It also cleared the path for Summer. Also, all the noise that's going on, she hears Robb shouting orders. There's people talking about fire, fire, fire. All this stuff, dogs barking, which that was something in the other, when they first got to the window, dogs were barking. That was something different. So everything in Winterfell is just fire, fire, fire. And there's noise and everything, but she doesn't hear the wolves. The wolves have gone silent. And I don't know if that's because, okay, they know that there's a fire, or if they stopped because Summer stopped, because he's the one that started it, and Summer stopped to head towards Bran. So the other wolves are like, okay, well, where's he at? He's done. He's got stuff to do. He ain't talking to us no more. So we stop. I butchered that too. Sorry. Excuse me. And okay. He says, library's on fire. Thank God, she whispered. Robb looked at her as if she'd gone mad. Yeah. The man was in the room with her. He was small, dirty man in filthy brown clothing, and he stank of horses. Catelyn knew all the men who worked in their stables, and he was none of them. He was gaunt, with limp blonde hair and pale eyes, deep sunk in a bony face, and there was a dagger in his hand. All right, I'll read his, and then I'll read mine. It says, nobody Littlefinger hires looks like this, but limp hair is mostly Brienne and Arya, and gaunt, deep sunk eyes match Sir Ilyn Payne and Stannis. In other words, the symbolism is as much about those who bring death as wildling. There are definitely gaunt wildlings, but they tend to be death symbolisms also, too. It's a mercy, he said. He's dead already. We noted earlier that this is Jaime's line, and he definitely did not hire him, because Jaime gonna kill somebody. He'd do it himself. The man moved faster than she would have believed. One hand clamped down over her mouth and yanked back her head. The other brought the dagger up to her windpipe. The stench of him was overwhelming. Chances are he just spent freaking the last 8 days pooping on himself, hiding in a stall. So yeah, he might not be as bad as Reek though. So I thought this might tie him to Mance, but it does not. This is actually Brienne language, like limp hair. Stench overwhelming seems to only refer to the Plaza Pain and Dracarys. Stinking smell overwhelming seems to refer to Bran's riding apples, and Quentin in the Merchantman with adventure stank. Both the speed and the dagger remind me a bit of Mance as Rattleshirt, and all of this sounds slightly more like Wildlings than Littlefinger, but not nearly as concrete as I hoped, as Richard hoped. I got this. Remember earlier I was saying when she starts about make the wolves stop, make them stop, kill them if you have to. It's kind of repeating herself, and that might hint at somebody's hand on it, an unseen hand. And not everybody believes it. That's fine. But I mean, me and Richard, we deviate a little bit on this this part of the books, and that's fine. I don't want anybody to agree 100% of the time because I'd be bored. But what's supposed to be here is repeated, I think, 3 times, maybe 4. And Cat has been there for a fortnight plus 8 days at least and has not left that room. So her not supposed to be there, whoever thought that is an idiot. And then also supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be here. No one's supposed to be here. He's repeating himself. Even when he's dying, he was repeating himself. So in my mind, that's a little hidden hand doing little puppet strings on this guy. Did they send him in there to actually kill Bran? That might have been the Catspaw's intent, but the person that sent him, and I think it's Littlefinger, and we can get into that later on. But whether he kills Bran or not, the second he walked in that room, the objective has been met. He has the dagger. He has the Valyrian dagger with the dragon bone hilt. They find the bag of silvers. They know that there's a conspiracy, and this guy, chances are, does not know who hired him. Has no clue who hired him. But then you got him dead. So is it the person that started all this know exactly how it was going to play out and set things up like Varys sets up the Tyrells with the coin? I don't know. I think it's a setup. I think that dude was meant to fail all the way through. He just needed to get the attempt and the dagger in the room, and then people would be pulled here and there to get the outcome that he wanted. And what he wanted would be Catelyn going south. But we'll get back to that. Make sure. All right. And then both Steed and Dagger remind me of Mance's Rattleshirt, and all of this sounds slightly more like Wildlings than Littlefinger, but not nearly as concrete as Richard had hoped. It was Bran's wolf, she realized. Of course it was. And before we get to the wolf is not the first person or thing in that room to bite the Catspaw. Cat bites his hand. She's gnawing on it like a dog with a bone. And then Bran's wolf comes in, and then we'll start here. It was Bran's wolf, she realized. Of course it was. Catelyn remembered the way she had been before, and she was ashamed. She had let them all down, her children, her husband, her house. It would not happen again. She would not show these Northerners, or she would show these Northerners how strong a Tully of River Run could be. I think she gets manipulated a lot by those hidden hands. And as we go further in the story, I will speak out where I think those hidden hands are. And then they go through is not anybody of Winterfell. Is one of the Kingsmen then? Is this a nod to the other king at the feast, the king beyond the wall? And Richard had pointed this out, and he might get into it here. I haven't read his email. I'm reading it for the first time, which is probably a bad thing to do. Bag of silvers. That's what Mance grabs and says he jumps the wall. Bag of silvers. And then this guy, where he was sleeping, had a bag of silvers. So that's that general nod to, was it actually Littlefinger? Or, because, I mean, George R. R. Martin has said, yes, Littlefinger has an influence over things, but how could he influence? You have to get past the fact that he wasn't in Winterfell. That's telling you that it's not that he's not influencing people in Winterfell. It's not telling you yes. It's telling you you got to get past the point that of the long distance. And then a simple way of getting past the point of long distance, David Lightbringer says a black candle, obsidian candle. He's visiting people's dreams. I think he's a full-fledged skin changer, not as strong as Bran or Bloodraven, but he's probably right there with I think Varys is. I think yeah, Crow's-Eye, Euron. Oh, Euron. I always say Euron. It just drives me crazy. Recovered redneck. Sorry. It was a nod to the other king. And then that was the nod. Another nod to the king was that bag of silver. The king beyond the wall. Like here it is. Could be Holder saw him. The talk is that boy's been acting queer. And we see it later in the book. Hodor is sensitive to things going bad. Bad things being in the crypts. He didn't want to go down there. Three-Eyed Crow went down there because Bran took him. I mean, I know it's getting further into the books and everything, but you need to pay attention from that feather in the cap that I used to talk about. Paying attention of when and how Hodor reacts to things. He's sensitive to. I think there's a hidden hand there, or he might know what's going to happen. I mean, there's different theories out there. Here we get to the silver. He had 90 silver stags in a leather bag, buried beneath the straw, and that's the nod to the Mance Rayder. He was there at Winterfell. I don't know. I mean, he could have snuck in. I mean, he's apparently good at getting in places that he ain't supposed to get in, and he'd been to Winterfell before, so he might know secret paths and things like that. Because they even think that the second time that he says he saw John was talking about what they were doing, and we know there's they were hiding somewhere, dropping snowballs on somebody. I mean, I would think that if even if it's not Sir Arthur Dayne or whatever, Mance Rayder had been there before, so he might know secret paths, all that kind of stuff. So he could have snuck in and stole that dragon bone sword, dagger. Damn. See what you do, Richard, man. Shoot. All right. It's good to know my son's life was not sold cheaply, Catelyn said bitterly. And then she tells Robb to, if you're going to lead, you got to be able to answer your own questions. You need to know the answer to the questions before you ask it. Something like that. I know I just read this chapter. I still can't remember what the hell he said. Says, do you have an answer yet? Someone is afraid Bran might wake up, Robb said. Afraid of what he might say or do. Afraid of something he knows. Now, every good theory of this indicates this is incorrect. Even the theory of the guy who never pays for anything attempting to impress his parents by hiding his actions. You know, the popular theory based on Tyrion remembering the opposite, what happened, and Jaime declaring that Mance wasn't present. One of the theories is Joffrey paid for it, but he's never paid for anything. So Richard's like, he doesn't have silver. Or if it had been Joffrey, all Lannister that he is, but it's knowledge that half Lannister, I would associate gold with Lannister. So, and also he don't pay nobody to do that. And he just tells them. So that one, I mean, It could be, but we're leaning the different way with it. And then yeah, like later on, he remembers because Joffrey said, "Send a dog to kill a dog." And he was talking about the wolf, and then Tyrion misremembers the quote, "Send a dog to kill a wolf," something like that. So it Tyrion has already in his mind blamed Joffrey for hiring the Catspaw. So his opinions on and memory of situations have altered to try to fit what he already thinks is what's happening. So I don't know if I did that justice, Richard. I'm sorry. Where we're at? Oh, 25. It seemed to me that it was altogether too fine a weapon for such a man. So I looked at it long and hard. The blade is Valyrian steel, the hilt dragonbone. A weapon like that has no business being in the hands of such as him. Someone gave it to him. Someone gave it to him, or someone controlled. There, go get that dagger. And I mean, the reason they think that there are those that think that the dagger was chosen because it's plain looking, but it's not necessarily as plain looking as we thought, because it seems to me that it was a weapon too fine, altogether too fine a weapon for such a man. So apparently it didn't look that plain, because they're talking about it looking fine. So I don't know if that one holds a whole lot of water. It might be the plainest, no jewels or none of that stuff. I mean, I could swing that way a little bit, because the handle is just black. There's no jewels in it, and everything else might have had ink. I mean, magnificent carvings and all that kind of stuff in it. I can see it that way, but I think that the Dragonbone Valyrian steel dagger, I'm having a hard time today, was chosen for the exact reason that Littlefinger could spin the yarn on things there. I mean, that's the way I lean. This is the most distinctive weapon Robert had, the perfect weapon to frame him, and completely illogical for Joffrey to steal. That part I agree on. I think he was thrown. I think it's his cat. The shot was playing on their faces. My lady, that is a most. I need to go back to kindergarten and learn how to damn read. My lady, that is a monster suggestion, said Rodrik Castle. Even the Kingslayer would flinch at the murder of an innocent child. See, we're even told by people that can't stand Jaime that Jaime wouldn't do something like that. Sorry. I'm used to just talking a little bit and letting Richard do the heavy part. And I could drink whenever I wanted. So, all right. Yeah, innocent child. Oh, would he? Theon Greyjoy asked. I wonder. Tywin worked hard to establish thus reputation. Never draw your sword unless you mean to use it. How many times must I tell you, foolish boy? You got people trying to be big and bad at the moment and overreacting. And after being noticeable that the young lads, I say lads because I'm 50, I'll be 52 next week, were acting older than they were, and stepping up to the problems at hand, and then boom, they drop back down to doing something kind of childish or unneeded. So they get kind of knocked back down a little bit. Never draw your sword unless you mean to use it. How many times must I tell you, foolish boy? Theon Greyjoy put a hand on the hilt of his blade and said, my lady, if it comes to that, my house owes yours a great debt. They certainly convinced Theon of that. His house and the house dark, no, it's not going to work. My lady, said Master Luwin, is that wise? Surely the Lannisters would greet your arrival with suspicion. Uh, I think that it is, again, that little hidden hand. I think she gets played. I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever in my mind for uh, Lady Stark to travel with just her and one person all the way to King's Landing. And knowing how Ned is, all he needed was a scroll with the seal and the dagger. And granted, he's still probably dying and all that stuff, but I mean, she didn't have to go. So I think someone wanted her to go and manipulated the little strings here and there. I know I get off on little rabbit holes here and there and some tinfoil, but yeah, I think she's being played. I will not be taking the King's Road, Catelyn replied. She thought for a moment, then nodded her consent. 2 riders can move as fast as one, and a good deal faster than a long column burdened with wagons and wheelhouses. I will welcome your company, Sir Roderick. We will follow the White Knife down to the sea and hire a ship at White Harbor. Strong horses and a brisk wind should bring us to King's Landing well ahead of Ned and the Lannisters. And then, she thought, we shall see what we shall see. I don't know. She needs to get to Ned, not to King's Landing. So why go to King's Landing? She tells you right then and there that 2 people could catch the entourage heading towards the south. There's even more people watching what you do in King's Landing and the Viper Pit that it is, and I mean it's just crap there. Why go there first? The only person that is in King's Landing, and we get a hint of it when she's like, does Varys know about? And then, of course, George R. Martin like doesn't let us know what was getting ready to be said again. I think she went to King's Landing instead of catching the entourage to see Littlefinger. Or that's what Littlefinger wanted. He wanted her to come there first. So that's what she did. She didn't know he's getting in her head and pulling strings. And he got that famous line, oh, shit, I'm over 30 minutes. See, Richard, it's all your fault. Once you know what a man wants, then you know how to move them. And once you know what a man wants, then you can pull the strings of their thought process to get them in the direction that you want them, while it's your idea, but it's still in line with what they're capable of doing. And I got a little flack with it. This is another rabbit hole, but I said that when Brandon Stark, injured, almost killed Littlefinger, the 3-eyed crow came to him. The whole switching his symbol to a bird. I mean, there's a lot of bird imagery with people that get visited by the 3-eyed crow. You got the winged wolf. I mean, if Brandon is the winged wolf, I said that the 3-eyed crow is the one that taught Littlefinger the Game of Thrones. And how he did that was exactly how Littlefinger does things too. Know what a person wants, and then you know how to move them. Well, Littlefinger wants Cat. So the 3-eyed crow manipulated him after he left Riverrun to stay at the end. He knew things were going to come to a head at the end. He wanted them at the end. At the end. And then when Brandon gets there, I mean, everyone says, like, well, he tells him that to save his life. I think he tells him that because the 3-eyed crow wants Brandon to know, hey, Rhaegar took Lyanna, because he knew what Brandon was going to do. Once you know what a man wants, you can know how to move them. So he went to King's Landing, Robert's Rebellion, all that stuff. But I'm saying that Littlefinger knows everything about the Game of Thrones from the 3-eyed crow. And the 3-eyed crow is still maneuvering Littlefinger now. It's just that Littlefinger's trying to juggle what the Three-Eyed Crow wants and what Littlefinger wants. But when they're the same thing, it's not that big a deal. But when they're two different things, and we'll get to it when we get to those chapters, the two different things that Littlefinger is trying to accomplish. One, the Three-Eyed Crow wants done, and one is what Littlefinger does. I went way to hell off in rabbit hole. Sorry about that. I said on one of them I needed a safe word to get my ass back on topic. But that's Cat 3. I still say the beginning of it, we were told how long she's in there and doesn't leave the room. And as a parent, I can understand that scenario. But to have a 3-year-old and husband and daughters are leaving and just shit to do, so that's another one of those like burn them all type situations. There's somebody manipulating because she wants Bran, she wants to be with Bran, so they manipulate her. Well, I got to stay here. Well, she stays there all the time and never leaves the room. Then she's guaranteed to see the cat's paw. You're not supposed to be here. Yeah, she was. The person that got you got her to be here to see you. So bing, bang, boom. All right, that's it. Hopefully Richard will be with us tomorrow. And tomorrow is, let's see, that's Cat there. I'm not prepared. Is it Sansa? Yeah, Sansa. I think that's her first chapter. That's going to be a pretty good one. But Richard, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll give you a text here in a little bit. Everybody else, thank you to the Valonqar to making comments on these videos. I hope we can continue doing them too. I love it. Two heads are better than one, even if my head's one of those heads. So y'all be good. Take care of yours. I'll take care of mine. And we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully both of us with Sansa 1. If not, I'll do the best I can. All right. Bye. Oh, me and this phone, I swear. I'm not singing. There we go.